योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ता सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यां च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवति पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्. Shloka 103 in Vishnu Sahasranama is Pramanam prananilayah pranabhrid pranajeevanah tattvam tattvavidekatma janma mrityu jaradikah. There are 8 namas in this shloka, and the namas are Pramanam, Prananilayah, Pranabhrut, Pranajeevanah, Tattvam, Tattvavit, Ekatma, Janma Mrityu Jaradikah. So these are the 8 namas in this shloka, and the first nama Pramanam is. Pramana means authority. Bhagavan, he is the authority for everything. He is the one and only authority for all this creation. There is no other authority greater than him. He is the authority for everything. He is the self-sufficient, self-evident authority for everything. That's how the Acharyas explain. Aitareya Upanishad says, Prajnanam Brahma. Brahman is that wisdom, and pure wisdom is its own authority. No other authority or pramanam is needed for wisdom. It is self-evident, self-sufficient. Bhagavan is the prameyam, that is, he is the goal, as well as the pramanam, that is the highest authority, the superior knowledge, the valid superior knowledge. And so he is called Pramanam. Prana Nilayah, that's the next nama. Prana means there are 5 pancha pranas, and that combines into the main prana. Prana, that is the inhaling air. Apana, that is exhaled breath. And Vyana, that is it is looks after the circulation of blood and vitamins, everything. Udhana, that is it looks after supports the karmendriyas. And Samana, it expels all that everything what all to be expelled from the body. So these are the pancha pranas, and Bhagavan supports this pancha pranas. He is the abode of all this prana. Without Bhagavan, these pranas will not work. So the pranas are dependent on Bhagavan. There is another meaning for prana also, jiva. So he is the support, if that meaning is taken, he is the support of that jiva also. So prana nilayaha, Bhagavan is the abode or the support of all the pranas as well as the jiva. The next nama is Pranabhrut. He supports the prana. He not only he helps the prana to function. That way he supports it. He is not only the abode of or the resting place for the pranas, he helps the pranas to function properly. And another meaning, that is when the meaning for prana is taken as the life, then he supports the life. Poshayan anna rupena pranan pranabhrut. He sustains the life in the form of food. He is the food, and we intake that food, and he sustains our life in that way too. So in this context, he is also called as the sustainer of life. He nourishes everything, and he supports everything, he protects everything, and so he is called Pranabhrut. Prana Jivanaha. Here, the Jivanaha means he makes the prana active. This prana alone is of no use. It cannot work alone. It is dependent on Bhagavan, and that's why it is so active and powerful. And that prana only maintains this body, but the root cause and the root support of this prana is Bhagavan. And a very beautiful shloka from Kathopanishad, it says, Na pranena na apanena martyuhu jivati kaschana itarena tu jivanti yasmin yeta upashritau. This any living being does not live by prana or apana, but all live by Bhagavan, by whom the prana itself is supported. Upashrita means it is that itself, the prana itself is supported by Bhagavan. So not by prana and apana this body is survived. It is Bhagavan is giving the energy for the prana, and that energy is transferred through prana to the body, and this life is sustained. So that is prana jivanaha. He gives life for that vital air, prana itself. The next nama is that there is the fifth nama is tattvam. Tattva means the core principle or the core being, the supreme reality by whom this entire creation exists. That is tattva. And it is the another name, that is tattvam, amrita, satyam, paramartha satyam, paramatma. All these are the synonyms of tattvam only, or Brahman. So this essence of this creation or the support is called tattvam, and Narayana Upanishad says, Tattvam Narayana Paraha. Tattvam is that is the supreme reality is Narayana. So Bhagavan is that supreme reality, and so he is called as Tattva. The next nama is Tattvavitu. Tattva means the core principle or the supreme reality. Vit means realizes or knows, knowledge. Bhagavan knows about himself. He knows that he is that supreme reality. He is that one who sustains all the life. He is well aware of all this. And he also knows that the other jivas are not different from him. That also he knows. He is the supreme reality, and all the other jivas are also the supreme reality, but they are not aware of it, and Bhagavan is aware of it, all that. So that is Tattvavita. He knows the real nature of everything, which is himself. That's why he is aware of himself, and by that way he is conscious of this entire creation. So even what is happening to a single cell body, he is aware of it, because it is his own self, and he is aware of all that. He is not different from any being in any way in that core sense, not in the form or in the mind, but in the real sense, in that supreme reality, is not different from any jiva or from Bhagavan. And Bhagavan is well aware of it, and that's why he is called Tattvavita. And the next nama is Ekatma. Ekatma means, Eka means one Atma. That is, only that Atma is there, nothing else exists. And the first shloka of Aitareya Upanishad explains it very beautifully. Atma vayitameka evagra asit nanyat kinchana mishat ikshata lohan srujayiti. So, before creation, that Atma was only there. Nothing existed. That supreme absolute being was only there. Only that Atma existed. There was nothing in the manifested form or in a subtle form also. Only the Atma existed. And that single thought of that Atma, I want to become many, that made this entire creation. So only that Atma existed in the beginning, and it thought that I want to become many, and so the result of that is this creation. So he is called Ekatma. He is that one and only Atma which is existing in all these beings So none of us are different from Bhagavan, as well as not different from other beings also. We are different in the form, in the physical form that is very gross, and the subtle form that is our mind, that is also different. But the core being is one. And so he is called Ekatma, and that core being is not different from Bhagavan. That is the core principle of Advaita philosophy also. That's why in the beginning of the explanation of Vishnu Sahasranama, I said this is a very beautiful hymn. It may appear that the 1,000 namas are explained Bhagavan, but it is all that explain in one way or other explain the Advaita philosophy. The next nama is Janma Mrityu Jaratikaha. Janma means birth, Mrityu means death, Jara means old age, Adikaha means one who transcends all this. Bhagavan Vishnu, he is beyond birth, death, or old age. Can anyone imagine Bhagavan with all this concept, old age or birth or death? He is beyond all that. He surpasses all this, and that's why he surpasses the 6 stages of development, which is usually common for all the beings. There is birth, conception, then birth, growth, maturity, decay, death. It's all for all the forms. For anyone, this is very natural. But for Bhagavan, he is beyond all that because he is Ehatman. He is pure consciousness, and there is no birth and death for the conscious principle. It is only for the form, that is the physical form, because it's the combination of the 5 elements. So that's the 8 namas of this shloka. And the summary of this shloka is there is no other proof for Bhagavan. He is his own proof and identity, and he is the proof for everything, the great pramana. He supports the prana. He is the life giver. He is the essence and source of all beings, and he is well aware of it. He is the one soul which crosses beyond the Janma, Mrityu, and Jara. And that is a shloka 103 in Vishnu Sahasranama. And the next shloka 104 in Vishnu Sahasranama is Bhurbhuva swastarustarah savita prapita magaha yajno yajnabadir yajva yajnango yajnavahanah. There are 9 namas in this shloka also, and they are Bhurbhuva swastaruhu Starah Savita Prapita Mahaha Yajnaha Yajnapati Yajva Yajnangaha Yajnavahanaha. So these are the 9 namas in this shloka, and the first nama Bhurbhuva swastaruhu. Bhu, Bhuva, Swa, Taruhu. Bhu means there is this Bhuloha. Bhuva means there is the intermediate loga, that is the atmosphere or sky. Swa means Swarga, heaven, that is beyond this atmosphere. And Taru means tree. So Bhagavan is a grand tree that covers these 3 worlds, Bhur, Bhuva, Swa. So he is such a grand tree. Or if we chant Bhagavan's Nama, then we can cross over these 3 lokas, Bhur, Bhuva, Swa. The importance is, if we are in these 3 lokas circling around, then we have to take rebirth and come to earth. If we pass beyond the Swarga Loka, that is the Makarloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Satyaloka, then there is no rebirth. And we always be in the pure bliss state also. So, one who chants this Nama or give offerings in the sacrifice by chanting Bhur Bhuva Swa Swaha, Bhur Bhuva Swa Swaha, like that, then we cross over these 3 worlds. So he is a great tree that pervades, that covers these 3 worlds, or his mantra or his nama takes us beyond these 3 worlds. And another interpretation is Bhurbhuvaswa is said as the three Vedas, Rig, Yajus, Sama Veda. And as I said, when we give offerings in the sacrifice by chanting these three words, that Bhurbhuvaswa, then we cross over these three worlds. That is, we cross over this samsara. That's the end of all our difficulties. And the next nama, Taraha, is through means to cross. Samsara Sagaram Tarayan Taraha. He enables people to cross over this ocean of samsara. Hence, he is called Taraha. So, either by chanting Omkara or by chanting the Taraka mantra, that is the Ramanama. Ramanama is said as the Taraka mantra. One can easily cross over the ocean of samsara, but we don't do it. We are so much involved in the materialistic world. So that is called Taraha. That's why his nama is Taraha. The next nama is Savita. We have seen this nama before. Savita is that deity who is the indweller in the sun, the Surya Mandala. The indweller in sun, and by that he illumines the entire world. So he illumines the entire world. That is one interpretation of Savita. Another interpretation is Su means to create, to generate. Sarvasya lokasya janakaha iti Savita. He is the creator of this whole world, and so he is called Savita. So that's the two interpretations for this nama Savita. The next meaning word is nama is Prapitamaha. That is, Pita means father. Pitamaha means grandfather. Prapitamaha means great grandfather. Why is Bhagavan given that nama? Because Brahma is said as the Pitamaha. Brahma, Lord Brahma, in the beginning of the creation, created the Prajapatis, the Rishis, the 7 Rishis, many more Rishis, Manu. And from them, all the other beings are created. So each one Rishi is responsible for creating each section of that living beings. So usually Brahma is said as the Pitamaha. And Bhagavan created Brahma itself. So he is Prapitamaha, who is the great grandfather. Grandfather is Brahma. So we say our father or our lineage is from this Rishi or that Rishi, from Prajapati. So all this were created by Lord Brahma. So Brahma is said as the Pitamaha, and Bhagavan is created Brahma itself. So he is Prapitamaha. Pitamahasya Pita. The next nama is Yajnaha, and many more namas is connected with this Yajna. What is Yajna? Yajna is a performance of a ritual where we give the offerings for that sacrifice. That's all. By that way, we worship that deity. Now we have temples, ideal worship, but in the beginning, in the early stages, that is the ancient time, there was no idols and all. The rishis or even the householders, they perform yajna, and Bhagavan in that yajna Purusha Rupa is worshipped. So that Agni in that yajna is worshipped as Bhagavan Vishnu. So that's the way the ancient people worshipped Bhagavan. In the Krita Yuga, that is the first Yuga, they worshipped only the Atma. They Atma they worshipped, and most of them they attained the liberation. In the next Yuga, that is in the Treta Yuga, they performed yajna, and that yajna Purusha is worshipped as Bhagavan Vishnu. Dwapara Yuga, the mind became so polluted, so they needed a form to worship Bhagavan, and that's how the ideal worship came into effect. Now they have built temples before that ideal, but that also it gives a lot of confusion, because different idols, different namas, so they think each one god is different. So all this confusion are now existing. So yajna means Bhagavan is worshipped in that form as Yajna Purusha, and so he is the personification of yajna, and so this nama is given for Bhagavan. And Acharya says, Yajnatma Yajnaha, he is the personification of Yajna, and another scripture says, Yajno vai Vishnuhu, Yajna is Vishnu himself. And the next nama is Yajnapatihi. Yajnanam Patha Swami va Yajnapatihi. So the Yajna is protected by Bhagavan, and he is also the Lord of the Yajna. Since Bhagavan is the Bhagavan manifests in that Yajna, the Yajnas are very dear to Bhagavan. We might have heard that we can see the form of Bhagavan when some acharyas they perform Yajna. Even now, it is very rarely we have heard about it. But in the ancient times, when they perform a yajna, they see the somewhat form of Bhagavan in that yajna itself. So, yajnas are very dear to Bhagavan, and that's why in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 9, Sloka 24, he says, Aham hi sarva yajnanam bhokta cha prabhurevacha. I am the enjoyer of all the yajnas, and I am the Prabhu, Lord of all the sacrifices, that is yajna. He is the recipient of all the oblations as well as the Lord of the yajnas. And the next nama is Yajva. Yajamanatmana tishtan Yajva. Yajva means one who performs the yajna, that is the Yajamana. He said as the Yajamana. If we perform the yajna, then we are said as Yajamana. And Bhagavan, he manifests himself in anybody who performs the yajna. So when we perform yajna with purity of mind and for good purpose and to attain good results, then Bhagavan will be manifest in us. So dear is yajna to Bhagavan. For Bhagavan, Vishnu, this yajna is so dear. And he manifests himself in anybody who performs yajna, and so he is called Yajva. And the next nama is Yajnangaha. Yajna Angaha, that is the different parts of yajna is Bhagavan. And this is very clearly said in Harivamsa. The form of Varaha Murti, it is explained as the different parts of Varaha Murti is the yajna itself, and it says, Harivamsa, that shloka says, the feet of Varaha Murti is the 4 Vedas, his tusk, the sacrificial pillar, his hands are compared with the Vedic rituals, his face compared with knowledge, his tongue, that is the fire of the sacrifice, his hair, the sacred grass used in the yajna, his head is Brahman, his eyes are Surya and Chandra, that is the sun and moon. All his ornaments are the different various components of the Vedas. His nose is the sacrificial ghee, his trunk is the sacrificial ladle, though his voice is the Samaveda, sound of the hymns of Samaveda. Like this, it goes on. Or the different parts of Varahamurti is compared with each concept of yajna. So all the angas of yajna is Bhagavan. That's why I said in the ancient time, when they perform yajna, even in the household they perform yajna, not only for functions every day. Just like how we do puja, they perform yajna, and in that Agni itself, they can see the form of Bhagavan and worship that Agni as Bhagavan Vishnu. So that is Yajnangaha. And the next nama, the last nama in this shloka is Yajna Vahanaha. Vahana means carry. So that Yajna itself is means to connect between Bhagavan and the Bhakta. So he carries and gives the fruit, desired fruit, to the concerned person, that is the performer of yajna. Even when we perform yajna for different deities, it is Bhagavan Vishnu who sees to it that whether the performer gets the right result, the right fruit. So by performing yajna, he see to it that a person, Yajamana, gets the right result. So that is yajna vahanaha. Now the summary of this shloka is Bhagavan helps the people to cross over the three worlds and the ocean of samsara. He is the father of Lord Brahma itself. He is the personification of yajna, the lord of yajna, the performer of yajna, the various components of yajna, and he gives the result of the yajna to the Yajamana of the yajna. So this is the shloka 104 in Vishnu Sahasranama. I will continue with the next shloka in my next upload. कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. ॐ तत्सत्.